before we get into the topic, I want to talk about the energy right now. So today is Thursday, January 25th. Actually, I looked right before it, I forgot. It's Thursday, January 25th. And this is a full moon. And I've been talking for a long time about how the full moons are getting more and more and more powerful. And I want you to know that your experience of this can vary widely. So I was watching a TikTok this morning, and the person was talking about how this is such a warm and cozy and loving full moon. And I was like, for who? Because I feel like I'm getting my butt kicked. The energy feels very chaotic this week. Pretty much everyone I've talked to feels that way. There's a lot of uncertainty, things, last minute schedule changes, things like accidents, from, little accidents to big accidents to just things are not going smoothly for a lot of people this week. And so when you see something like that where someone's like, oh, this is so cozy and loving, and if you're not in that energy, it can feel there's a little bit of shame involved in that. It can feel a little bit like a slap in the face, which is a little bit how I felt this morning. So what I want you to know is what this activation means, what these full moons mean, simply is that there is a ton of energy coming in right now. And that is experienced differently by different people. It's experienced differently with each full moon. So I think a lot of people are sort of falling into this pattern of looking to astrology or looking to predictions or whatever. And I mean, I've been making predictions about this year, mostly that it's just there's going to be a lot of energy coming in. And that can be a helpful framework, but also recognize that your experience is unique to you. So if you're seeing some sort of messaging that's telling you should be feeling a certain way, that should right away, should and shame go kind of hand in hand. Yes, you may be having that experience. There's probably a lot of people maybe right now who are feeling that kind of coziness and that love and that sort of being wrapped in a warm blanket. And that's great. But if you're not in that space, that's also great. You are exactly where you were meant to be. Integration is difficult. We did a whole show on that. You can go back and watch that. Right now, when you receive a lot of activation, a lot of energy coming in, there's got to be room in your system to receive that energy. And sometimes we're just not there and we just don't receive it. It's like, not this month. And that's okay too. That's completely fine. Again, any of these things are great. Wherever you are is perfect. When a lot of energy comes in, generally a lot of release starts to happen, because in order to integrate that new energy, if you're open to that, you've got to have space. And the analogy that I use a lot is this idea of cleaning out your closet. If I have a bunch of old clothes in my closet that are not necessarily serving me anymore, and I come home with a new wardrobe, where am I going to put it? I have to make space in the closet in order to put the new clothes in there. So if you're in this sort of receiving and integration space, which is where I am right now, feeling really tired, maybe feeling irritable, things aren't going well, you're dropping things, like just things like that, know that that is exactly where you're meant to be. You're not doing anything wrong. You're not receiving the energy incorrectly. Your system, your physical, energetic, and emotional bodies are working to make space for this new energy to come in. And that is an uncomfortable process a lot of times. We're also, this full moon is beginning to open this throat and sacral activation. We're going to do some great sacral work in today's show, and I'm getting there. As this energy comes in, we're also opening the throat and opening the sacrum, the sacral chakra. And so this is like two activations in one, and this kind of stuff is going to continue. These activations are going to get more and more intense. And what happens sometimes is that it just knocks you down. And just know that that is okay. There is no shame in that. That is part of this process. And the more you can be in flow with the process, the sacral chakra is all about flow, the more you will kind of recover from that, and the more space you'll make as you release for the new energy to come in. And that feeling of being excited and motivated and inspired and fired up, that will come back. And again, you may already be in that space. And the other thing is, please try to release judgment about yourself and about others in this process. If you're in a great space right now and you're feeling that inspiration and that motivation and that support, That is amazing. That does not mean that you are better than anyone else or you're more elevated. I see so much of this messaging in this community about higher vibration and lower vibration. All of the vibrations are necessary. All of the vibrations are necessary. And yes, we want to clear muddy vibrations from our field. We want clarity. We want expansion. We want harmony. But the process of working through that is a series of kind of contractions and releases. So if you're in a contraction right now and you're not feeling very good, physically, emotionally, mentally, or maybe all three, know that you are not in a quote unquote lower vibration. You are not doing the work. You are not succeeding in the work that you're doing. You are where you are in the process. And we don't all have to be at the same point in the process at the same time, even though there's an event that's affecting all of us. So I kind of just wanted to get that off my chest. I feel like poop today. I just don't have much energy. Things have, again, like there's just a lot of weird chaos in the air. My dogs have been really awful today, just very ramped up and kind of easily triggerable. I feel that way too. And that's another thing. This affects children. It affects babies. It affects animals. It affects everything. So just have some love and compassion and patience for yourself and for others over the next few days. This energy will begin to wane, but as it gets more intense, kind of peaking today, it's intense. That is the best word for it. Thank you for listening. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk, as people say. As always, if you are enjoying the show, there are multiple ways to support me in this work. Please follow the podcast, rate the podcast. Even if you're watching on Facebook, that really helps. You can also share this with a friend, tell somebody about Wind Down Wednesdays, and you can donate directly to me to help support the show. There are links in the podcast notes, or you can go to paulataylorenergy.com, go to the podcast page, and there's a link to donate through PayPal.